Hello, hello, welcome back. Peoples of the universe, please attend carefully. It's Friday the 1st of November 2024. I hope you all had a fabulous, exciting Halloween. Can we put away all that Halloween season talk now, please, and get on with the rest of the year? Thank you. It's Friday morning and I'm off out. Where am I going, you may ask? Am I going 10-pin bowling? No. Am I going shopping? Not really. Am I going fox hunting? No. I'm going to the cinema, naturally, because that's what I do. Friday morning is new release day, pretty much most weeks in the UK. And if there's something I fancy and if I'm free, I will toddle along to my local multiplex. Today's the View Cinema, and I'm going to see Heretic, which is the new theological horror film starring the increasingly impressive Hugh Grant. So, yeah, I'm off to see the film. I am going to pop to CEX afterwards. I've got a couple of things to trade. So I might add a little bit of bonus CEX footage here if I remember to film when I'm in there. So I'll see you, whatever happens, after this.
Two hours later.
Hello, welcome back. Okay, I'm back in the car post-Heretic. I thought I would do a quick review here in the car after the film because I know that reviews of new films don't do incredibly well on this channel, but I do like to talk about them. I love doing the retro stuff, but I do want to keep my finger on the pulse of what's new in the cinemas too. And I want to talk about Heretic because this is a very striking and very unusual film. This is the latest from A24 Films. And they, over the last few years, have developed quite a reputation for making unusual films, different sort of films. I'm thinking of things like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I didn't particularly like. Civil War, which came out a little earlier this year, directed by Alex Garland, which is a very striking film. And recently, The Substance, which I wasn't completely nuts about. I think it was a good idea, well executed until it decided to go a bit too far in the last act. There's a video about that if you want to pop back and have a look at it. Heretic is something else altogether, though. This is a very stark, very unusual, very striking film. And it makes you realise how clever and bold and different modern horror films are. If you look back at horror films with their reliance on monsters and creatures, horror's much more subtle now. It's much more sophisticated. And this is possibly the most literate horror film I've seen in many years. It's a very, very wordy script, very intelligent script. It looks at religion in a modern world, in a very rational world, and what religion means, and delves quite deeply into the place religion has in the world and why it's still so powerful. All channeled through an absolutely incredible career best performance, I think, here from Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant's an interesting one. I always felt that earlier in his career when he was doing his, golly gosh, my goodness, floppy-haired fop roles, he was never very comfortable, very happy doing that sort of stuff. And I remember at the latter stages of that part of his career, he was talking about giving up acting because he wasn't getting much from it. But as he's grown older, he's become a much more interesting actor and a much more interested actor. I first noticed how good he was becoming in Florence Foster Jenkins a few years ago, where he presented as a more mature man. And I think his profile had dipped a little bit, and then he was starting to come back. But he's now getting some roles that are really challenging him and that he's really enjoying. You can tell he's really enjoying some of the stuff that he's doing these days, whether he's playing an Oompa Loompa in Wonka or the villain in Paddington 2, various things he crops in. I've been playing against type, and I've always wondered how good he could be playing a villain or a twisted bad guy. And he comes close to playing that sort of character. It's very difficult to sum up the character of Mr. Reed, who he plays in the film. If you've seen the trailer, you'll have a pretty good idea of what the film's about. It's about two young missionary girls, two teenagers. They're called Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton. They're played with great confidence by Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East. We see them wandering around their local community, trying to talk to people about religion. And of course, as is the way, people aren't particularly interested. They walk on by. They're pilloried by a bunch of local kids who just take the mickey out of them. And as the storm starts to rage, they end up at a very spooky house wherein lives Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant. They're reluctant to go in, even though he bids them to come in, because they're not really allowed to go in unless there's a female present. He tells them that his wife is in the kitchen cooking a pie or baking a pie. So they're quite happy to go in and talk to him about religion. It soon becomes quite obvious that he's the one talking to them about religion. He's deconstructing religion. He's challenging religion. He is making them start to question things a little bit and presenting alternative religious viewpoints. It soon becomes obvious that there is no Mrs. Reed in the house, and before long they're trapped in the house and they have to listen to him espousing his expansive theories about religion and theology and so on. And the situation gets increasingly weird and increasingly desperate. He tells them he will allow them to leave the house, but they have to make a choice of which door to go through. Having spoken to them about religion and the place of religion in the world and what religion means, what the various religions mean, he scrawls in chalk the words belief and disbelief on the two doors and asks them, or tells them, to go through the door to leave the house based on which decision they've made now about their beliefs. And that's when things start to get extremely dark, extremely tense, if it wasn't tense enough already. And yeah, I'm going to say it, disturbing. It's quite a disturbing film. And what happens as they plunge deeper into this almost labyrinthine house of horrors will probably challenge most people's thoughts about religion. I'm not particularly religious, but it's a film that does make you ask certain questions about religion and why people are religious and the purpose of belief. And it presents some, in the end, some quite stark reasons why people are religious. Very unusual film, very powerful film, very, as I said, a very literate film, a superb script, very well considered, very well thought out, and quite a sparse film. I mean, it's mostly set in the house. There's a few exterior scenes, but it's mostly set in the house, and it's a very overpowering house. The tones are very sepia. The house is full of artifacts and things. There's actually quite a nice visual gag that references Hugh Grant's earlier acting persona as a young Mr. Reed. He's in control of the film pretty much all the way through. He's second-guessing them. He knows, part of the plot of the film is he knows what their decisions are going to be based on the discussions he has with them. And he gets into some very dark territory in the last act or so. Very good film, very unusual film. Won't be for everyone. I mean, it's not full of jump scares. It's not full of... There is some red stuff here and there, but it's not a particularly hideously gory film, but it's more a film that makes you think. It's a film that makes you wonder and makes you ask questions, much of the way that Mr. Reed is asking questions, but hopefully in a much less extreme manner. The performances are terrific, as I said. The three leads are just outstanding. People have talked about Naomi Scott in Smile 2 recently deserving an Oscar. Hugh Grant absolutely deserves an Oscar for his performance in this. It is an incredible, powerful, intense performance. And if horror films were legitimized in a way that they were able to be eligible, or people would consider them for Oscars, they really should be. Hugh Grant really deserves a nomination, if not an award, because his performance is just sizzling here and he just dominates the screen. It's a very unusual horror film and very well timed for this time of the year, I think. And I highly recommend it. I think it's something that you'll need to go in with an open mind, not expecting the usual tropes and tenets of horror films, because it's not that sort of film. It is a film that you think about afterwards. And I'm thinking about the ending, and particularly what the ending means in reference to something that was referred to earlier in the film. This isn't a film you watch with one eye open or one eye on your phone or trying to multitask. You focus on this film, and you will want to, because it is riveting. Excellent, really unusual, very strong film. Challenging, I think is the right word for it. Excellent. I'm going to give Heretic... I'm holding the phone, so I can't do my usual thing. I'm going to give it a big, chunky 9 out of 10. Excellent film. Very, very good. Quite very surprising. I thought it would be good, but I didn't think it would be quite this good. So, yeah, if you're a horror hound and want something a bit different, pop to your local Cineplex, catch up with Heretic. Right, thank you very much for watching this video. There may well now be some CEX footage if I can be bothered to film it. If not, it'll be bye-bye. I'll see you next time. More videos to come on the weekend. If you're new here, of course, like and subscribe. Please click that like button. Please click that subscribe button. Leave a comment. And, of course, there's 470-odd videos on this channel. So flick back through my back catalogue and there's bound to be something that will attract your attention. Welcome to my world of stuff. So I had a little wander around CX, and this is what we shall find on the 4K shelves. Apologies for the poor camera work for some of this. Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 on 4K, £42. I think that's a steelbook as well. A little bit pricey, but it would be nice to have. I must rewatch the Kill Bill films. Sherlock Holmes, the original with Guy Ritchie's version, that's £8. Tempting, but I'm not nuts about the film. And this one here, the Tremors, I think that was 25 quid if I remember. I didn't film the label, unfortunately. Further along, we have, see what else we had. The Fifth Element, £35 for a 4K steelbook. Nice to have, but not at that price, thank you very much. The Batman for £32, Quiet Place £45, a Jaws 4K box set £60. Was it that much when it came out? I'm not sure. Seems a bit pricey, but otherwise all the usual stuff. I like the Quiet Place steelbook there, but it seems expensive, £45. Back down the Blu-rays then. Usual stuff that you find. It's not a great CEX for recent titles, although I did, as you'll see, find a couple I was after. 28 Days Later now is, of course, unavailable. £25 at CEX. Of course, it'll be re-released next year when the new film comes out. And we have here Batman, Bourne. That's the usual suspects you tend to find in most CEXs and charity shops these days, to be honest. But you get the occasional find that is worth picking up, as you'll see in a moment. Beetlejuice on Blu-ray, which is just coming out now. There we are. £8 here, but I'm sure it's $6.99 in Asda at the moment, so I haven't got it at the original on Blu-ray, and as I like the sequel, I probably will pick it up. And then we have, my first find of the day. If I can bother to put it in, if I can bother to get it in focus for you, it is Alex Garland's Civil War, which I put up there, and I do apologise for this terrible camera work. Civil War, I saw that yesterday in the CX in Port Talbot, in Swansea when I was out and about, and I was very tempted to pick it up, but I knew I was coming to the CX, so I hoped they would have it there, and sure enough, one copy for 10 quid. Courier, I thought that might have been a different film called The Courier, but it wasn't. You might not be able to see, but my terrible camera work. I also picked up Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biopic that came out early this year. That was 6 quid. There's the carrier bag. A carrier bag. David and Stacey, whole series on Blu-ray, 6 quid. Not bad, but you know, I don't think it's worth picking up because it's on the iPlayer and always will be. But again, as you see, all the usual sort of titles that you find in CEX. Man of Steel, Limitless, various Liam Neeson action films. And there is one title that I did pick up, which you will see in a moment, which I didn't think I would. But in the absence of much else, just scanning across the shelves, always lots of Star Wars and Star Trek films. System, don't know what that is. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, £3, not bad, 3 quid. Blu-ray for Snow White. Probably one worth having at some point for the sake of nostalgia and classic cinema. Something called Shark there, I wonder what that's about. And yeah, as I said, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, you always find them for £1. Detective Pikachu. And Ed Sheeran one way, as they kept well away from, because I'm not a fan of Mr. Sheeran. And you will probably see me in a moment pick up my third pickup of the day. And there it is, in fact, Us, the Jordan Peele's second film, which I'm not a massive fan of, but I probably need to rewatch it. It was only 4 quid. I'll see you soon. Until I do, keep taking the stuff.